Happy Women's History Month, beautiful people, fabulous embracers. It is me, Dr. Sylvia Gonson-Bowley, and I am your integrative bariatrician specializing in transformative body, mind, spirit, weight loss through changing your relationship with food and customized metabolic tools. I'm the founder of Embrace You Weight and Wellness, and I am just so excited to be back here with the blackdoctor.org family and having this conversation. We have been having a good time. This is my fourth show. Whoop, whoop. And you would think by fourth show, I would know not to put these glasses on. You know, they just always reflect the ring light. But come on in. Let me know where you're checking in from. Last time we had people from all over the country, all over the world. It was awesome. I saw all your comments. I saw some people from my hometown, Atlanta, from Stone Mountain. Still haven't seen anyone from Liberia yet. That's where my parents are from and where hubby's from. So come on in. Let me know where you're checking in today. We are going to have a good time. Hey, Ruby from Chicago. Good to see you, sis. We're going to have a great time today. We're actually talking about one of my favorite topics. Now, you know, this Embrace You space, it is meant to be a safe space where we not only talk about the facts about weight loss and about wellness, but we also talk about the feelings behind it, because too often we don't have a safe space, especially as Black people, especially as Black women, where we can talk about our feelings. And feelings have a lot to do with food and what you do. Welcome. We got Baltimore in the house, Be More up the road. We have Miami, Fresno, DC. Yep. Oh, some people right around the corner. Hey, y'all. All right. So we're going to be talking about emotional eating. And I will tell you all that I am a recovering emotional eater. And I've been on my journey 8 years now. And this was found in getting control of my emotions and how it related to food was so key to losing 40 pounds and keeping it off for the past 8 years. And a lot of times we don't think about it. So I want us to be able to talk about it today and also know that it's more than just saying, I'm sad, I'm mad. You know, there's so many more emotions behind it. So does that sound like a good topic to y'all today? Any other emotional eaters in the house? Let me know in the chat. Or if you're not sure if you're one or not, we'll talk about that as well. So how you can see how your mood may be controlling your food. And yes, there's another of my Stone Mountain sisters, Rita and Road, whoop, whoop, in the house. Welcome. So yes, all right. So I got a few hands here for some other emotional eaters as well. So first and foremost, do y'all even know what emotional eating is? Like, what is that? Because we throw it around, and I think a lot of times when what we've kind of been taught in the media to see or think about is like that girl that breaks up with her boyfriend and then she gets a box of ice cream and she just shovels it in her mouth. But honestly, y'all, that's not the way that it worked for me. And it's not what I see with a lot of my patients and clients as well either. They actually, if we're going to make it really simple, and again, from a medical perspective, a lot of times there is, people say, there's scholarly ways of talking about it, like call it hedonic eating or non-physiological eating. But if we're going to make it really simple, it is just eating when you're not hungry. Physically, when your body isn't showing you any physical signs of being hungry. So that is what is considered emotional eating. So to that extent, if you're bored, if you're frustrated, if anytime you're really not physically hungry, that is. So emotional, and it's very common. So 38 to 62% of women report that they emotionally eat within a week, and 30 to 43% of men. So it is important to just be aware that this can sabotage. And in the disease of obesity, which is my specialty, that is when your body stores extra. Look, I always have it handy. She's like my best friend. When your body stores extra body fat, that is when the disease of obesity, and it can lead to a lot of metabolic, over 200 different metabolic and medical conditions. That so 67% of people with the disease of obesity say that they overeat or emotionally eat. And so that's why if we can get a handle of this, it's really going to be important. Now, don't get me wrong. Part of being human is that sometimes we're going to eat for celebrations. Sometimes we may make a choice to eat that brownie when we're sad, and that's okay. So let me free you up. I'm not here to say, oh, never emotionally eat, because part of being human is. But what I want you to do is to feel empowered and feel in control over it so that you don't sabotage. All right. So can you type control in the chat? Control if you want to be in control of it. Like, let me know if you want to. And I'm going to try not to sing a lot of songs today, but it might be hard because we're talking about emotional eating, and a lot of times I think about a lot of songs when I'm thinking about emotional eating. So if you want to be in control of it, yes, type control. Yes, Keela says control. Joyce says control. Hey, Joyce, welcome back. And Tony, yes, exactly. We want to be in control of this thing. So how are we going to get there? How are we going to get there? So I think it's very important to think about everything from a body, mind, and spirit. Sorry, Miss Jackson, I need some control. Yes, absolutely. So it's very important to think about everything from a body, mind, spirit. And again, being a scientist, being a physician, I'm going to think about those hormones, right, in the body. So the first thing I want to say very clearly is that emotional eating isn't all emotional. Yes, I'm going to repeat that again. Emotional eating isn't all emotional. Some of it is biological. Now, what do you mean by that, Dr. Sylvia? What do you mean by that? So, first of all, let's take it back a step and talk about why we eat. Why do we eat in the first place? Why do we eat? Y'all feel free to type in the chat. You know, this is your space, this is our conversation. So, why do we eat? Because our bodies need energy, right? Food is fuel. Just like your car needs gas, your body needs fuel. It needs food. So go ahead and so our body needs fuel. Now, what type of fuel matters, right? So the main fuel, if we're going to be real, break it down and be really scientific and nerdy, that would be like thinking about our macronutrients, right? So that would be the carbohydrates, the proteins, the fats, but all of these are going to break down into that little unit of energy known as calories. Yes, Joyce says nutrition. Exactly. Is going to break down in calories. And at the microscopic level, a calorie is a calorie is a calorie. Calorie. You know, energy is energy, right? The body uses that as energy for fuel. Now, the problem is just like you have a car, and if you get a luxury vehicle, and I love a nice luxury vehicle, let me tell you about that, okay? So, whatever luxury, I want you, actually, everyone in the audience, I want you to start thinking about your body as a luxury vehicle. I'm not sure what kind of luxury vehicle you are. My body right now, it's an Audi, okay? So, like, whatever luxury vehicle you are, think about your body at like that. And what is the first thing they tell you when you get that luxury vehicle about the type of gas you put in there? Ooh, Stephanie says a Cadillac classic. I like that. So, what is the first thing they tell you about that fuel that you put in it? Like, can you go and get that 87 grade and put that in your luxury vehicle? Can you get, the cheap stuff that, like, what is it now? 10% ethanol, put it in your luxury vehicle? Absolutely not. They tell you to use premium fuel. Premium fuel, because and why? Because that is going to extend the lifespan of your car. That's going to extend the lifespan of your car. So as you think about your body as a luxury vehicle and what kind of fuel you're putting in it, remember, food is fuel. So choosing that premium fuel is going to help you a lot. So I want you to stop right there and think about that. So anyhow, we're talking about hunger and food and how we feel the body. So, hunger is a natural part. When your body needs nutrients, it is going to, when your body needs nutrients, it is going to ask for that food, is going to ask for that fuel. Now, the issue comes in that we have gotten used to choosing fuels emotionally and not really based on what works best to drive this body. So it's not even the issue of, oh, I need to get fuel for my car, but it's like you're choosing the types of fuel that aren't going to make your luxury vehicle run well. So let's take it back again when we're talking about physical. So let's say, for instance, when your body gets physically hungry, what are some of the signs that you're going to feel? Like when you're hungry, how can you tell you're hungry physically? So key things is that you're going to why choose food emotionally instead of what's best for us? Exactly. So key thing is that you're going to feel, yes, a little bit lightheaded. Your stomach may start to rumble or grumble. You're right, Stephanie. You might even start to get some stomach cramps. You might feel very tired or a little bit fatigued. And so, all of these are signs that your body needs fuel. And when you're physically hungry, does your body care about what type of food that it's going to get? It doesn't. It's just angry. Exactly. Yes, you may even get a little bit irritable. Someone said it's that is a big part of it. So knowing those signs will help you to know whether or not your body is physically hungry or if it's emotionally hungry. Now, pleasure eating is a little bit different, right? Because this also involves hormones, but it involves your feel good hormones. So you might have heard like dopamine, serotonin, those are your feel good hormones in your body. Now, and the reason, and a lot of times with our pleasurable eating or what we call hedonic eating, and that's what emotional or non-physical eating is tied to, there's usually a feeling or a memory tied to it. Notice, as soon as I started talking about emotional, I started thinking about songs, like where you were. You start thinking about like where you were when you had that your first piece of chocolate, your brownie. And that's why, like, even going into your grandma's house is going to just make you want to automatically have those cues, those memory cues. Like you automatically may want sweet potato pie. Or if you drive by a certain store or a certain restaurant, you're like, I gotta stop because I think about those warm, ooey gooey donuts, right? So there's memory cues, there's those hormones that are stimulated with it. And when you're stressed, or when you're feeling emotional, what type of foods do you usually crave? Are y'all craving broccoli? Tell the truth now. Are you craving broccoli or are you crave what type of foods? Type in the chat. Let me know what you're usually craving when you're feeling emotional or when you're not eating for pleasure. Hot dogs now. Exactly. What so you're craving those really sugary, sweet foods or those really fatty ooey gooey foods. Am I alone here? I don't see y'all in the chat. Okay, crunchy foods. We're going to talk about that. Oh, yes, I like crunchy. So we'll spend some time talking about that. Y'all are a bit healthier. I like this. Where I'm coming from in my emotional eating journey, it was all about the sugar. It was like candy, yeah, chocolate. Thank you. I'm like, I'm alone here in this. Okay, fine. I'm with the healthy folks, but I was craving those kind of things. And a lot of those foods, we'll talk a little bit about the crunchy, but like chocolate, really sweet, highly processed foods, those are going to hit those pleasure reward cycles in the body, in the brain. Chips with all that flavoring, yeah, is going to hit those pleasure reward centers in the brain and activate your dopamine, your serotonin, those feel good hormones, and it almost can act kind of like a drug. And so when people talk about like food addiction, sugar addiction, some of the medical literature is a bit controversial on it. But in my practice and what I've helped people overcome and walk through, heck, what I have overcome with sugar addiction is it's very real, right? And again, if you look at the studies of how certain foods, especially very sugary, very chemically processed kind of foods that we usually are going to crave during these times, they hit those pleasure reward cycles. And so that's why it's important to understand that it's not just all emotional. Like back to the main point, it's not all emotional. Some of it is biological. And you're like, okay, great, doc. That's a good nerdy point. But how am I going to overcome it? Don't worry. We're going to talk about it. That's why I asked you about your foods. So, second part is I want you to know how you can tell the difference between you're physically hungry or if you are emotionally hungry. So how can you tell the difference between these two? And for this, we're going to play a little game in the chat. Are y'all up for playing a game? Let me know if you want to play a little game. It's going to help you. Don't worry. Say yes if you're ready. So, and then I see Tamara says, I crave sugar at night when the day is over. And we're going to talk about that too as well. Okay, Stephanie's up for the game. All right, game's going to take like less than 2 minutes. I'm going to try to do it. So we're going to ask, how can you tell if it's physical, which is bio, or or emotional, which is emo. So I say bio hunger or emo hunger. Bio, emo. Y'all get it? All right. So the things you need to think about is the timing, the food desire, and then the after effects. Do you feel satisfied or do you feel ashamed? So I already gave you one of them. So the onset, is bio hunger slow or all of a sudden? Like if you're feeling physically hungry or biologically hungry, is that slow or is it all of a sudden or all of a sudden? Anyone in the chat? So bio is going to be slow. Absolutely. You kind of like it just creeps up on you. And Janet, emotional is going to be sudden. So it's like all of a sudden you're like, I want a donut. I want chocolate, And the desired food, this gets to the second one. So the desired food, what food you're going to desire with bio, is it going to be specific or is it going to be anything will do? So is it for bio? Is it going to be a specific food? So physically, when you're physically hungry, are you like, man, I could eat an elephant ear? No disrespect to the elephants. Deltas don't come after me. Specific is going to be for emotional. Emotional, like I said, remember, no, bio's not specific. Bio's going to be like anything could do. When you're hungry, you're hungry. Have you ever been like super hungry? You're like, I don't care what's in this house. I will eat whatever is in here. Your stomach's growling, your mouth's watering, your head's lightheaded, you're tired. Are you thinking at that time, oh no, I can't eat that? No, you will eat anything, right? So think about it. So physical hunger, anything will do. But emotional hunger, if you start thinking, I really want a steak right now. Now, there are some exceptions to that, and we'll talk about it in part 2 a little bit, but there are some exceptions to that because sometimes a craving is like saying you have a biological deficiency, but by and large, if it's sudden and it's like, yes, I want to have a piece of chocolate cake, I want chips, like that is usually emotional. Now, once you finish eating, if it's bio, are you going to be satisfied or not once you finish eating? So with physical hunger, once you finish the food, are you feeling satisfied? Like once you eat, if it's a biological hunger? And I hope y'all are taking notes because I'm dropping some gems. Like I'm telling you, I've walked this journey. I've helped thousands others on their journey, and it's going to free you up because when you're informed about your body, then you can transform. So often in diet culture, look, I'm preaching now, like so often in diet culture, we want to jump to the what. Just tell me what to do. Take this bar, take that shake, do this, that, without getting to the root cause. What I'm telling you right now, like They don't want you to know, because it's really going to free you up. Because when you know that you what you know about your body, information is transformation. Okay, information leads to your transformation. So I am informing you. So take notes and make sure. All right, I'm bring it back, bring it back, bring it back. See, this is why I need Mr. Ellis here. Thank you, Stephanie. I am preaching. I'm like, I feel like I'm in my preacher mode today. Yes. So emotional doesn't fulfill you. Exactly. So true. So when you're not going to, with bio hunger, you will be satisfied when you eat the food. With emo, you won't be satisfied. Like, you may feel good for a minute, like, oh yes, you get that hit, right? Like I told you about those feel good hormones. You get that dopamine hit, that serotonin hit, but then, like, within an hour or less, you're like, oh man, why did I eat that? The title of this show. So that comes to the next part. After you finish eating, how do you feel? With bio, you're going to feel what? Satisfied. You're like, yes, I ate. It's no big deal. You just keep it moving. But after you eat, emotionally, how do you usually feel? And I'm gonna let y'all type in the chat, because this is emotional talk. So how do you usually feel when you eat emotionally? So why did I eat that? It is guilt. It's shame. Exactly. Empty, not satisfied. And you see, a lot of, yeah, guilty, shame. And these are not like comfortable emotions. Yeah. Jackie says you want more. Exactly. I told you this thing's addictive, right? Like you're gonna want more and more and more and more. So that that these are the keys that you know to tell you that, okay, this is a biological hunger, this is an emotional hunger. Now, all this is really helpful ahead of time. So now I need to empower and equip you with how can you control emotional eating. And you can, but you need the right tools. And so let's talk a little bit. Yes, bad, ashamed, all of those feelings. And guess what? All of those negative feelings are going to make you want to eat more. It's going to fuel the emotional eating. So it becomes this vicious cycle. So we have to break the cycle, and we have to break it with the right tools. So how can you control emotional eating? So all right, you taking notes. Look, y'all need to embrace you notebook. Because you didn't know, like, I am a trained teacher. So I did in med school, I did 4 years of a medical education leadership track. So I love to teach. I was chief resident. I love teaching. So to take notes, because information is transformation. I'm gonna keep saying that. Yes, it leads to overeating. So all right, come on guys, let's get it. We got like 10 minutes. Let me get you these tips. So number one, decide what you want to change. Okay. Notice I said what you want to change. That's the first tip to get in control. So often, and I just got off the phone with a client right before I got on this session. I had a patient and we were talking, and I told her straight up, I said, I may be feeling a little gangster because I got my headscarf on today, but I told her, she kept saying, I should this, I should that, I should eat this, I shouldn't do that. So I was like, finally, I was just like, excuse me, should is, you know it. I'm not going to say it, producer on it, but should is manure. Okay. Like if you start saying a lot of shoulds, that is a sign to you that you're getting into a negative emotional space, and there is conflict between what you want to do and what you feel like obligated or you need to do. So decide what you want to change. Thank you, Kayla for putting it in the chat for us. Decide what you want to do. So I want you to remember, should is. All right, I didn't say it, Mr. Ellis. Don't come for me. But whenever you think that, so start operating by what you want to eat. Okay, so that you're not fighting against yourself. And then number two, so then once you get a craving, so we can do all of this ahead of time, like thinking the bio and all of that. But once you once you're in that craving stage, it's very hard to overcome, because let me tell you a little bit about brain anatomy. So our feelings sit in a place, and our emotions come from a place called the amygdala, which is kind of like our lower brain, our primitive brain. Our higher brain, which we're using now, which is the cerebrum, where we're using for all this wonderful thinking and teaching and rationalizing and emo versus bio. That's the higher brain. But When you're in a highly emotional state, which part of the brain takes over? Is it your higher brain up here that's doing all that rational thinking, or your lower brain? Y'all can answer me in the chat. Which part takes over? Lower brain, that emotional brain, or is it the higher brain? So like, let's say you're really stressed out, you like right now, you're really stressed out, it's lunchtime, you leave and you go downstairs, you realize your coworker hasn't like it stole your lunch or something. What's going to happen? Yeah, that emotional lower brain, and all the time, right? So when we're dealing with an acute craving, when we're dealing with the craving, you have to be able to like short circuit that lower brain, because trying to use all this tools I just told you, like, is this bio hunger, emo hunger, that emotional hunger is like, feed me. I don't know why I did that, but that is what it's telling you. So if you get a craving, the best thing you can actually do to short circuit that heightened emotional state, which is also going to rev up your sympathetic, your fight or flight response in your body, is take a deep breath. Take a deep breath. You may even want to take a drink of water and breathe deeply. Hold it for 3 seconds and slowly release, counting to 7. Now, why do I say do that? Why do I say do that? Why do I say do that? Because once you take that slow, deep breath, you are going to calm down your nervous system, calm down that fight or flight sympathetic response that is telling you to eat, and rush and go do it right now. And you may have to repeat it minimum 3 times, maybe up to 10 times. But I'm telling you, if you take that pause and take that deep breath, that will give you time to lean into some of these higher brain cognitive thoughts that we're talking about. And then you can ask yourself, what do you really want? Like, are you bio hunger or are you emo hunger right now? Like, if you just ate an hour ago and now you're feeling like you need to go grab some popcorn or some chips and crunch on something crunchy, is it because you're really hungry for it, or is it because you are bored? Is it because you're feeling crunchy, you're angry, you're mad, you're frustrated, feeling crunchy, you want to eat something crunchy emotionally? Or is it because you're dehydrated, because actually you haven't had any water all day today? And so you want that salt that's from the chips or something to do that. So if you're feeling bored, if you're feeling crunchy, or craving something crunchy, I'm going based on the cravings you guys said, then what you can do is you can go ahead and decide, do you need a food substitute or not, right? Like, maybe you don't need a food substitute at that time. Maybe what you actually need is to drink some water, like Kylie said, and drink it really slow. Is it that you need to get an electrolyte drink? So because you are a bit dehydrated. Exactly. And dehydration will mask itself like hunger many times. And many of us are underhydrated, because do you know how much water you need to drink in a day? And I bet what people are going to say is that 64 ounces a day. And that is a myth. That is a lie. Like, it is not. From a weight loss perspective, most times what we advise people is to drink half of your body weight in water. So half of your body weight in pounds in water a day. So that means if you are 200 pounds, you're going to be drinking about 100 ounces of water a day, unless you have a medical condition like heart disease, kidney disease, something that you have to fluid restrict a little bit. So making sure you get enough water. And then if you're craving a lot of sweets, like I said, my struggle, my journey was sweet cravings, and it still pops up, and that's really tied to stress, because we didn't talk about it, but we will more in the next part. And I knew that's why we needed 2 parts, because I know how passionate I get about this topic. Is that with that high cortisol levels up, the insulin resistance, you know your body won't even be using sugar properly. So I used to have 3 p.m. Sweet cravings every day. I saw somebody at nighttime, they crave sweets. So for me, that is when my stress level was highest. I would have seen a lot of patients. I would have been running around, maybe had skipped lunch. This was 8 years ago when I started my weight loss journey. And how I overcame that, instead of eating cookies and cake every time, I did a gradual substitution method. So first, I did do like a cleanse or detox. I didn't use any products. I just went really clean, and did eliminated all processed food and sugar. But then once I went back to it, I started using substitutes. So at 3 p.m., instead of candies or cake, I would have high sugar fruit. Then I was able to switch to the mood food, so like the berries, the sweet peppers, and then I realized I needed to just treat the stress, and so I started doing more stress relief, and it took about 6 months to a year to do it. So I want to remind you. So just to recap those 3 points that I told you. Number one, can anyone remember what I said? Because I said a lot, and I know I'm freaking y'all out with the water because I see it here. Wow, I need to catch up. Yeah, most people don't drink enough water, and also don't have enough sodium actually in our food. Like, yes, we need to not overdo it with sodium, but you still need at least 1,500 to 2,000 milligrams of sodium a day, because salt is what helps your body keep the water in. And that's why you're going to be craving something salty like chips or popcorn and things like that. So everything I'm saying, I know I said a lot. So I actually made a cheat sheet for y'all. I made a conquering your emotional eating tips. I made a tip sheet for you, and it's on my website. So Mr. Ellis will put that up, but you can go to embraceyouweightloss.com, and get that sheet, and it actually tells you, summarizes what I talked about, and tells you where a lot of those cravings are and what strategies you can use around them for your emotional eating. But this time goes so fast, y'all. It goes so fast. So, all right. So, just to summarize, number one, what are you going to do to help control your emotional eating? Decide what you want. Yes. Thank you, Stephanie, because should is right. It's manure. So, decide what you want. And then you are going to, if you get in a craving and you're in that like acute phase and you're like, I just, oh my gosh, and I need chocolate, I need chocolate, I need chocolate, I need chips, I need chips. Like, take what we're gonna do, take a deep breath. You may even do that with a glass of water. Drink that water, slowly take it in, and then breathe out nice and slow. I say 3-second hold and 7-second release, and repeat, so that you can get your brain, so that you can calm your nervous system down, calm that emotional part of your brain, of your body, and that you can access the tools so that you can think straight to say, all right, is this emotional or is this physical? Like, am I really, really hungry? And then you can decide what you need to do. Do you need to go get a glass of water? Do you need to take a walk? Do you need to just maybe get a healthier snack that might work better for you? So, alrighty, y'all. We always have such a good time here. Time to wrap it up. You know, I never like to leave you without a mindset shift. So, as I was thinking about this, I was like, what mindset shift really, really like just helped me when I was overcoming emotional eating? And a lot of it, so much of it, is stress. It is not acknowledging our emotions, right? We have been taught we need to be strong, we need to be there for everybody. Emotions, ain't nobody got time for that. I don't want to fall apart. But y'all, I really want you to take the time to listen to your body, listen to yourself, and know that your emotions are signs that your body is trying to tell you something. They work hand in hand. So I want the mindset shift for you is to release, I'm stressed out, and embrace, I have effective tools to manage my stress. So release, I'm stressed out, embrace, I have effective tools. And some of those tools could just be talking about it. It could just be finding those safe spaces. It could be in my book, which Miss Joyce is going to receive. Whoop, whoop, she was a lucky winner. I have a whole chapter just telling you how to tap into your stress, how to identify your emotions, and then what are some easy things you can do. Just like we talked about the breathing, just like we talked about the drinking water, going for a walk. All of these things are so important. So release. I am stressed out. You do not have to be stressed, okay? And embrace. I have effective tools for my stress management. So, ladies, gentlemen. Oh, yay, Jacqueline got your book. I can't wait to see your review and how it blesses you. I'm so happy. So, let's go ahead and wrap it up. You know how I like to wrap it up. I want you to share your number one takeaway. The whole point of this information is for your empowerment and transformation. I'm not just out here to show you how smart I am. I am here to empower you with the information you need to change your life. So go ahead and type in that chat the number one takeaway. And if there's any questions that you still may have about emotional eating, put them in there too, because we're going to do a part two of this as well. And I'll incorporate it into the part two. But again, I am Dr. Sylvia Bowley. I am your dual board certified integrative bariatrician. I'm the best-selling author and the founder of Embrace You Weight and Wellness, where we specialize in personalized metabolic tools and mindset breakthroughs and transforming your relationship with food. This has been another episode of Embrace You, Hot Topics and Weight Loss, and we talk today all about emotional eating. I'm emotional. Okay, I couldn't let it go without singing that one time. All right, and we talked all about it. And so I just want to remind you that if you're eating for a reason that is not physical, it is emotional. Okay, so for eating any reason that's not physical, it is emotional. But not all emotional eating is just based on emotional. There are lots of hormones that send signals to your body to get more to get more food. Okay. And so, knowing the biological reasons and getting control of the medical or biological reasons is really important in controlling your emotional eating. In part two, we're going to talk about insulin resistance. We're going to go in a little bit on these things and how those relate to emotional eating. So, and then and getting the right tools. So I gave you some quick tools today, knowing what you want, doing the deep breathing, drinking water, doing the substitutions, walking around and tuning in with your body. But sometimes you do need more help. You need the help of a professional like myself, of a therapist, of a life coach. And so next time we're going to talk about that as well. So everyone, thank you again for this beautiful time. Thank you, BDO, for having me here. And I just want to remind you that you head over to my website, which is embraceyouweightloss.com. There's going to be a pop-up. And then if you go ahead and enter in your information, you will get a Conquering Emotional Eating's tip sheet. And I have put down so many goodies, so many facts in here to help you. I saw people like who had sweet cravings, had crunchy cravings. All of that is on the sheet of like why that happens, the bio cause, the emo cause, and what are strategies you can do to fix it. So yeah. All righty, y'all. I'm out of here. Have a fantastic weekend. Thank you so much. Hey, Dr. Keita. Hey, Keela. Oh my gosh, Keela, you have to send me how I pronounce it. I hope I said it right. Thank you for all your notes. Thank you, Janet. Thank you. Oh, hey, Alexa. Good to see you. Thank you, Stephanie. Good to see you back another week. Miss Jacqueline. Yes. Y'all have a fantastic weekend. All right. Bye, y'all. See you in 2 weeks. 2 weeks, I'm going to be with one of my very good girlfriends who is a bomb gastroenterologist, and we're going to be talking about lifestyle tips that you can do to reduce your risk of colon cancer. So we're going to have fun. I'm going to try to behave myself, but she's known me like way back before I was Dr. Sylvia, but I'm going to behave. All right. Bye, y'all.